Police officers and first responders wear badges to let their communities know they are here to protect and serve. But it comes at a price. Samantha Horwitz and John Salerno work with police departments across the country to bring valuable recovery, insight resources, and workshops. A Badge of Honor TV brings those professionals to you so we can come together and revitalize communities through a better understanding of what's at stake and what's required for repair. So take a load off and turn up your TV. It's about to get real.
Hey, welcome to A Badge of Honor TV with John and Sam. We are powered by the OBBM network, and you can catch us on any streaming network, streaming podcast platforms. I want to welcome Sam. What's going on, Sam?
Hey, happy Mental Wellness Monday. Yes.
Put that down, right?
Yes. Mental Wellness Monday. It is awesome to be with you all again. As we start the show out with, there's so much going on out there. It doesn't seem to stop.
I'm sure me and you right now, and we didn't talk about this, but we're on the same page. And you know how I want to bring stuff up every week right in the beginning. But God bless that gun owner over in Idaho. I got to tell you, liberals and all these people can talk about gun control, and it shows what a well-skilled and trained person, civilian with a firearm, what he can do. And he saved many, many lives by confronting that shooter. And for those who don't know, we had that mass shooting over in Twin Falls, Idaho, at the In-N-Out Burger. Guy had a military style, assault rifle, and he was just shooting people at random. And this hero, I call him a hero, stepped in. He was well trained. He's done this because he always said, from the last shooting in Idaho, he said he was always going to be prepared. God forbid another incident like that happened. He wanted to be able to jump in and be able to stop it, and he was. He saved countless lives.
Yeah, he did. It was pretty wild to watch this whole thing go down. So, and being in the firearms industry, obviously you can see suppressed 22. So hey, whatever, it can happen. Violence happens whenever it's going to happen, and the best thing you can do is be prepared. So. Thank you, citizen. Well, I'm sure his name and everything will come out.
It's out, but I don't want to say it. They can go look it up on social media.
Okay. I was watching this morning, but I didn't see his name connected to it.
I don't want to say his name. But here again, when we look at when everybody says, well, guns kill people, maniacs with guns kill people. Mm-hmm. Honest, law-abiding citizens save people, and that's what it's all about. And when we talk about being prepared and having the right training, that's what our guest that we have on tonight, and it would be an easy transition. All the training in the world as a warrior, for our military, or in the police department, or training to fight fires, or to save lives as a paramedic. Wearing that uniform, taking that oath. And you work your 20 years constantly, right? That's who you become. And then all of a sudden, you leave. And now you're a retired cop, you're a retired firefighter, you're a retired paramedic, you're a veteran. What do you do? And our guest tonight will tell us.
Yeah, let's bring David Preston on. Hey, David, welcome to A Badge of Honor TV. How are you?
I'm doing really well, Sam. Thank you. And it's really good to be here.
It is really good to have you here. And before we get too deep into things, just tell everybody watching and listening a little bit about you and warrior to veteran.
Sure. When I was a platoon leader in Desert Storm, and when I got out of the service, there wasn't a process to help somebody get ready to be a veteran. What they did is, I realized that the military often spends a lot of resources, a lot of money, a lot of time training civilians to be warriors, and I include, I call warriors anybody who, as John said, took the oath, raised their hand. That's a warrior, whether they deployed, whether they were on a post, whether or not they went outside the wire. People who put on a uniform of any kind, those are what I consider warriors. And they put a lot of time and effort and resources into training us into the warrior class, but they really don't spend any time or much effort training us out of that warrior class. And we leave the military with that warrior soul and that warrior heart, but we don't really get any training on how to apply those professional skills in a civilian environment. And so I didn't get that kind of training, struggled with some things when I got home. And after a number of years, finally decided that I was going to go back to school and become a therapist. And I focused on working with veterans. And the last couple of years, I've had many requests to work with first responders too. And I've found that there are more similarities than differences in working with the first responders. So,
David, when you transitioned out, right? Me and Sam, when we transitioned out of our roles in law enforcement, it was a cardboard box, a coffee cup goes in there, maybe whatever you had on your desk, and you walked out. Give some of our listeners the insight of what it is or what it was for you when you transferred out of the military. What were the options and what did they do for you?
So there was a half-day class on how to write a resume, and then anybody else who served in sort of that 80s and early 90s time period might remember, and it may be the same now, but what we did was they gave you a checklist, and you went down and spent about 3 days going from place to place and turned in your equipment and checked out of things. And then I had a physical, checkout physical. They wanted to make sure that there wasn't anything wrong. And that doctor actually told me, and I'll never forget the words, he said, if there isn't anything wrong with you that I put down on this paper, then you don't qualify for any VA benefits whatsoever. And so it was it was a little over 25 years before someone told me that was different. And so I didn't look for any VA benefits, didn't talk to anybody for 25 years because I had that in my head. It was implanted in my head by that doctor, that I didn't qualify. And so then I took my checklist, I turned everything in, and another words of wisdom that I got from the supply E7, I remember that too. He said, "Okay, LT, we've got all the paperwork. Don't let the gate hit you in the ass on the way out." And so I took my car and drove it to the gate, and the gate closed behind me, and that was it.
Wow.
That was my out processing. So
that is
and so many of our veterans from that era, and even today, I'm hoping it got a little better today, but so many veterans from that era, when you leave that gate, it's just like when me and Sam leave our office or leave our precinct. It's like, now what? Now what? What am I? It's a total soul crushing loss inside you. You feel utterly alone, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And over the years, some of the work that I've been doing, and I've realized that there are two primary things that happen. And these things happen to the families and the spouses, even to the family and supporters as well. There are two things that I came up with a term for. The first is what I call the missionectomy, which is that when you leave the military, and I believe it's the same for you as law enforcement officers and all of the other first responders, when you leave your warrior status, you have your mission removed. And for many of us, we don't even realize that that's happening. So we go out into the civilian world without a mission. We're used to having one every day. We know what uniform to put on. We know where we're going. We know what the overall mission is going to be. And so we have that removed. And so we go off into a world where we have no mission. And when you spent 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, knowing what your mission is every day, it can be, as you said, soul crushing to not have one. And the other one is what I call the teamectomy, which is you've been operating as a part of a team, even when your particular job might be to operate solo in an office or something, or riding solo. You're part of a team. And we have both of those things, regardless of what kind of a warrior you are. We have both of those things removed. And it can be devastating. And especially when they don't tell you, hey, these things are going to happen. And there is a way to prepare for it. That's what I now spend my career doing, helping people who have not realized it, are struggling, or are lost because they don't really know what's going on, but they know something's wrong. And so it's very, very possible to build a new team. And I'm not talking about a bunch of guys getting together and playing paintball. It's being able to put together people that you really care about, that care about you, people that will have your six, and that's family members, and it is close friends. And then also having a mission. It's not the same kind of mission, but it's still a mission that you can have in the civilian world.
Right. Well, if you guys just joined us, we're talking with David Preston. He's dropping some huge insights into what we should all look at, whether we're transitioning out of law enforcement or out of the military. And so we're going to hear from Patriot Mobile, part of our team here at A Badge of Honor. They are wonderful folks. So stay tuned, everybody. We'll be right back with David.
Talk is cheap when it comes to saving our country. We're not just any cell phone service provider. We're Patriot Mobile. It's not enough to simply talk about values. We live them. Defending life, protecting our First and Second Amendments, and celebrating our military and first responder heroes. We're boots on the ground making a difference. We're America's only Christian conservative wireless provider with nationwide coverage on all 3 major networks and 100% US-based customer service. Join Patriot Mobile today and make an impact every time you use your cell phone.
All right. It is about making an impact every time you use your mobile device, because if you're part of the big 3 and you have a contract or an agreement with them, your money goes wherever they want it to go. With Patriot Mobile, you absolutely know where your money is behind your values. We love Patriot Mobile. And right now you can take advantage of a month of free service, which means you can try them out. Just go to patriotmobile.com/badge or call 972-PATRIOT and use promo code BADGE and grab a hold of that free month of service. They have the latest and greatest tech if you want to upgrade into a new device, or just keep yours. Again, try the service. And if you like it, you keep it. And the best part, there will never be roaming charges, because Patriot Mobile uses the big 3's towers to get the best service no matter where you are. So never lose service. Take advantage of a free month of service. Get a hold of patriotmobile.com. We love Patriot Mobile. So back to the show.
Hey, welcome back to A Badge of Honor TV with John and Sam. Excuse me. And military veteran David Preston, warrior to veteran, founder, therapist. And you know, when we left before the commercial break, we were talking about the mission. We're talking about that break of service, the loss of the team, the loss of our identity. And, you know, I like how you put it in warrior to veteran, because we're all warriors when we're out in the field. And then we're either, like I said, we're retired or veterans. And none of us know how to act as retirees or a veteran. Some cops do. Hey, they'll go out on a fishing boat and they'll do their thing. But, you know, when you look at the percentage-wise, it's probably a low majority of them, because many of them still carry their weapon. Many of them still have that hypervigilant. Many of them are still sitting with their back against the wall. And I'm sure veterans are doing the same thing, scanning the rooms and that high alert. and that does damage to your brain if you don't, you know, get the proper treatment or help.
You're exactly right. And one of the things a lot of people, we have these ideas that we get from the movies or from what other people tell us who, you know, they're getting it out of books or they're getting it from different places, not from validated sources, you know, people who really know what they're talking about. And so I'll give you an example. A lot of people, a lot of service members, first responders, all kinds of folks who are who have spent a life in service or are, you know, even currently in serving their community, serving their country, when they are not on duty or when they've finished their time in service. A lot of times family, meaning well, will say, okay, time to put that behind you. You're a civilian again. And the thing is, none of us will ever be civilians again, because someone who has put their life on the line, someone who has, you know, raised their hand and agreed to the kinds of things we've agreed and run towards the danger instead of running away from it, we won't ever be civilians again. And that's a positive thing. It's not something to, you know, forget about or put away. We are veterans. And the thing about that is we can often, many of the clients that I work with, we can often spend a lot of time trying to fit ourselves back into a civilian-sized box. And we're not ever going to be able to do that. And it's counterproductive to try to do that. And so a big part of what I do with the people I work with is to help them understand, what does it mean to be a veteran? What does it mean to be a veteran in a civilian world? And it's not the same thing as being a civilian. And for goodness sake, why would you want to be one? And no offense to civilians, I'm just saying that's not our world. We have skills that, as you mentioned about that hero in Idaho, we have skills that there are times when we can use them to, as you said, to save incredible amounts of people. But there are other skills. You mentioned about the hypervigilance. There's are very, very appropriate uses for something like hypervigilance, but it's a different version of that in a civilian environment. So in a combat environment or on the street, hypervigilance saves lives. In a civilian environment, we might call that vigilance, or we might call it situational awareness. So we don't want to forget about it. We don't want people to walk around la-di-da looking at the sky, but you can, with all of those skills you've got inside of you, with looking around and knowing what's around you, feeling the environment, that's great. And you can be prepared for what might happen. But with the hypervigilance, when we can't turn that off, we can go around every day expecting that something is about to happen all the time. And that is what causes overwhelm and burnout in our brains and in our hearts. And so that's one of the things. It's really, we call it psychoeducation, but it's really just education that a lot of people just don't have. You mean I don't have to be like this all the time? And the answer is absolutely not. We don't have to be that way, and we don't have to give up our warrior skills.
And, you know, you mentioned the family and how it rubs off. John, when we came back from break, that's what we led with. How would you suggest that somebody that you work with start a conversation with their family member to say, hey, you know, you told me that I'm out and now I need to turn it off, but I want to be the best version of me that I can be for you and the family, and this is how I do it. How do you suggest that they approach that conversation?
That's a really good question, Sam, and that's why I'm actually in the middle of writing a series of 3 books, and this is not to market those, but one of the things we don't think about enough, both veterans and therapists and warriors themselves is that families serve, and nuclear families, partners and children, they serve just like the rest of us serve, and parents and grandparents and supporters, best friends, to a lesser degree with sort of the farther levels you get away. But I remember when I was in the Army, and God bless her, my wife was with me the whole way. She had a brown ID card and I had a green ID card. Well, she was serving the same, in a very similar way as I was. And she used to say when they had a wives chain of command, and she used to say, I'll do the things that they tell me I have to do as soon as I get a green ID card. But it's the way that we have those conversations is, number one, to acknowledge that the family is serving or has served, and to approach it on that level. I know that you've been going through this with me. What is going on with you? What are you experiencing? What would you like to talk about? Let's compare notes. Let's work on some things together, and let's move forward together to create a new life for both of us. Because, for example, a wife, when a cop's on the job, the wife has had a particular mission. She's been doing particular things. Or if they're both cops, a dual cop family, they've had a particular way of life. And now, if it's changing, it's time for us to get together and come up with a different plan, come up with a different mission. So those are things that the biggest thing is communication and working together, rather than, you need to support me because I did all this hard stuff. Well, we've both been doing hard stuff.
Yeah. We got to take our next break. When we come back, let's continue the conversation about communication, because that's vital in us being allowed to have a free space to let stuff out, and then the listener on the other side to listen and offer the advice or the counseling or the therapy that you offer. So we'll be right back after these messages. Stay tuned, everybody.
Look, when you need to respond to an aggressive situation to protect yourself, your family, or your property, understanding your firearm and legal position are critical. Officers know your skills are only as good as your commitment to training. So know what you're doing. So when you're in a vulnerable situation, we can count on your response. Whether you're a beginner or a licensed gun carrier, Carry in Texas offers basic firearms training, Texas permitless carry courses, license to carry, and basic 2A courses so you can understand the responsibilities, situational awareness, and learn the technical skill required when you carry your firearm. Go to carryintexas.com to find the right course for you. Join me, former United States Secret Service agent Samantha Horwitz, on the range for beginner basics, LTC prep, and range practice. Go to carryintexas.com today. That's carryintexas.com.
Hey, welcome back to A Badge of Honor TV with John and Sam and our military veteran, David Preston, whose warrior to veteran skills, his therapy sessions are providing a lot of resources for our veterans transitioning back to the civilian world. Preston, before we left, we were talking about the families, and you brought up a great point where, the families are serving when we are working or we are deployed. So sometimes we don't realize, as that person, the stuff that they went through. So as much as we want them to listen, we have to learn to listen as well. That's key.
Yeah, it's really important. And one of the things that can make that go a lot smoother is the earlier we can start listening and sharing that communication back and forth, the easier that transition can be. When you think about those of us who are serving, your cops and your other first responders who are serving now, the warrior life is so intense that a lot of times we have to go home to work and work to home and home to work and work to home. And when we come home, parts of us don't really come home, right? We're still mentally and emotionally, we're still on the job. And that can be very difficult for us. It can be very difficult for the family. And there are ways to begin creating some space between that warrior identity and the home front identity. And that's some of the work that I've started to do with some of the first responders I'm working with. But if we can start those conversations while we're still serving, then we can establish that foundation to improve the relationship and the communication while we are still in the midst of it, if you will, so that as we progress, the communication is already there. And communication is a two-way street, right? So the idea is that we need to listen as well as speak. And if we both know that we are both there to listen and speak, then we're both going to get what we need out of it. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Is that and leading into you have a protocol. Correct me if that's not the right word, but it's called the 2A way.
Yes. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. What is that part of the 2A way, basically?
It is. Yeah. The 2A way really is what I realized when I started doing this work, focusing on therapy with veterans. About 90% of my clients are veterans. Is that there is a progression that we go through, and I think there's a similar progression that first responders go through. But the progression is we start as a civilian, we become a warrior, and then when we get out of the service, many of us go through what I call the drift, which is we get out and we don't really know, what's next. I talked about, losing our mission and losing our team. And not everybody goes through this. Thank goodness. Some people get right out into something and they just move on. But many of us who aren't prepared and aren't trained, we get into this area that I call the drift. And that's sort of the waypoint between being a warrior and being a true veteran, what I call a reforged veteran, which is you have a new civilian world or civilian environment mission, and you are connected with your family. You're all sort of on the same page and moving forward in the same direction. And how that 2A way comes into it is it actually started with the Second Amendment. That's where the 2A comes from. And it's freedom and it's independence and it's intradependence. The family as a unit is not husband or wife, not just 1 + 1 is 2. It's not addition, it's multiplication. When we're all working together and, you add your kids and everything, and it's an amazing unit when we all come together. And so the 2A way really is just identifying where you are on that journey. And I work with not only the warriors, but I also work with the partners. And because, when I have a female warrior, then I'll work with the husband. I'll work with the whole family together if that's what they need, and help them identify which sort of phase they are in. And we have exercises. You mentioned interventions, and interventions are really just approaches, programs, exercises that we work on to help people understand this is where I'm at, this is why I'm here, and if it's not where you want to be, then we can help you get from where you're at to where you want to be. That's really what the 2A way is. It's I don't believe in learning something and then saying, oh, okay, you have A, so we're going to do 2 from list A and 1 from list B. That doesn't help anybody. And
Chinese menu.
That's right. I want a 2-egg roll. Yeah. So it has to be a very customized process, because everybody brings, I call them resources, your upbringing, your socioeconomic status. Did you grow up with a lot of money or no money? Did you have 2 parents or 1 parent? All those things that we bring to it, plus your on-the-job experiences. Did you have a lot of traumatic experiences? Did you have none? Did you have to use your firearm? Did you not? There are a lot of things that people bring that are different, and so everybody needs a different approach. Same thing with the families, right? My wife and I served in Germany for 3 years, and I was deployed almost 33 months out of the first 36 months we were married. That takes its toll.
Oh, yeah.
And so a lot of the things that I work with people on are things that unfortunately we learned by not knowing anything about them. And so I'm really blessed that she hung around. Now we know them and we can share them with other people.
How does that work with, we're talking about transition for the guy who has finished his tour or who he retired out. How about for those veterans or those first responders whose careers are cut short due to an injury, where the unexpected happens and now, boom, they had no time to prepare.
Right.
It's really, it really goes without saying that's really, really crushing. To have no time to prepare it's a loss. It's a loss like losing your partner or losing your life partner. The first thing is that there is, just like dealing with a death, it's the death of a career. And there are processes of grief, grief counseling that I work with, that other people can work with, that you need to process and go through that loss, so that you can acknowledge and it's a word that gets used a lot, but process that.
Makes sense though. Makes so much sense.
Yeah. It really does. That's one place to start. And then there's a thing they say in AA, and I'm a chemical dependency counselor too. And they say acceptance is the key to all my problems today. And they are really talking about, accepting that you're an alcoholic and you always will be. But in my work, I say, so accept that something is true, and then what are you going to do? So in that particular case, you're talking about someone who has an injury and their entire life has changed. And I have to give a caveat here and say, I don't even remotely pretend that this is easy for them. It's a horrendous thing, and I would not remotely brush it off. One of the things I try to help people work through is the acceptance part is, since my career has been cut short, since I have this injury, I am going to, and that's where we start. Because a lot of people will spend, they'll get into depression or they'll get into other things, substance abuse sometimes, because they wish it was different. Well, it's not. And so we start with acceptance. Since I have this injury, now what are we going to do? What are we going to build? And to have somebody who is literally, who wants to listen, who wants to work with you, who wants to, be at your side and have ideas and partner with you to come up with a plan for a situation you never in your worst nightmares thought you would have. That can be a real gift. And there are other people like me out there. So.
Yeah, absolutely. A true gift, and giving purpose and mission back. And if you guys are just joining us, again, David is dropping some huge pearls, and it really is about staying engaged. And whether it's an injury or something takes you out of your career, the recognition that, hey, yes, you thought this was the way it was going to go. It's, however, going to take an abrupt left turn, or however you want to look at it. But to have folks like David and have family members understand, hey, this is conversation, like, let's go right into it, so that you're never not, a double negative there, mission oriented. And that's fascinating. I just love that. I will say, you know what's tough? Drinking really bad coffee. I'm just going to say, yes, that's tough. So East Texas Legends Coffee Company, founded by Ben and Amanda Holmes, reflects their journey from Ben's Marine Corps service and law enforcement career, overcoming post-traumatic stress to finding purpose in ranching. Relocating to an East Texas ranch, they identified a need for a local coffee brand. Now they're opening their first coffee shop in Lindale, Texas, rooted in faith, family, and community. Their mission: inspire purposeful conversations over coffee. So drink coffee, be legendary. Go to etxlegendscoffee.com. Use promo code BADGE for 15% off coffee and merch. You can take your phone and just hover over that QR code. It'll take you right there. But John and I, we have our cup. Cheers, partner.
Cheers.
Every week. And 100 plus in Texas. Actually, we got a little break, so hot coffee today, but it's been cold for the last bunch of days, and it's great because I don't know if everybody watching, if you're listening, sorry you can't see this, but this right here, I'm pointing right here. This is the delicious 5-pound bag of Diablo that I just picked up from Amanda at First Monday up here. So their shop's going to be not too far from me. Really excited for them. They're doing great things. So if you want to,
I thought that was a dog food bag, back. I was like, what is that? It's a coffee bag.
Yeah, that's a coffee. So our dog food bag is more like 25 pounds since we have 4 dogs. But yeah, this is a 5-pound bag of coffee. And up here, all this is the coffee stuff. This is like the shelf. So you guys want to drink great coffees, there, zero bitter. If you like flavors, they got flavors. But just jump on the website, etxlegendscoffee.com. Get a bag. They'll ship directly to wherever you want it shipped. And the best part is it's a give back program. So Ben and Amanda generously donate funds back to organizations like ours and those that are veteran focused. So now back to the show as we drink more coffee.
There we go. Hey, welcome back to A Badge of Honor TV with John and Sam, and military veteran, warrior to veteran therapist, David Preston. When we broke for commercial, we were talking about the families, we were talking about injuries on the job and what cuts our careers short. And for somebody like David, you said 90% of your clientele are veterans, and you have some first responders in there. And I know everybody's individual, so everybody feels something different. But is there a common denominator that you've seen as a therapist that people come to you with, that one common denominator that you see in almost everybody that comes in?
There really is, and that's a great question, John. Thank you. There are 2 primary, what I call invisible wounds, and I didn't make that up. It's something that's been around for quite a few years now. The RAND Corporation did a study a number of years ago and found that in the post 9/11 veteran community or warrior community, the top 3 injuries that have come from service deployment have been post-traumatic stress disorder, major depressive disorder, and traumatic brain injuries. And of course, the traumatic brain injuries coming from the IEDs, the proliferation of IEDs. But the major depressive disorder and the post-traumatic stress disorder from the incredibly frequent and consistent the pace of the outside of the wire time and the deployments. It's been since Vietnam for there to have been so many deployments at such a pace. I've got one one veteran who he deployed 5 times in 6 years. And so he'd go for a year and then he'd come back for 6 months, and then he'd go for a year and he'd come back for 6 months. And it destroyed his will, but I should just say it kind of pressed it down so far it was hard for him to find again. But he did it gladly, but that really takes its toll. And I can only imagine with first responders that, if you work in South Central, or you work in New York, I can imagine that going out on the street every single day, that's got to take a huge toll. So I would say major depression and post-traumatic stress disorder, those are really the two. And one that it's not in the book. There's this book that has all the diagnoses in it, and one that's not in there yet, but people higher up than me are trying really hard to get it in there. It's called moral injury.
Oh yeah,
and
very important that gets in there.
And I am positive that that is something that your community talks about. The difference is that post-traumatic stress disorder is primarily a fear-based thing, and it's not like, oh, I'm scared. It's when people are faced with the imminent threat of violent injury or death. And moral injury is really when you're asked to or forced to do something that is just absolutely against your morals. And so those things cause what I had mentioned were invisible wounds. And the thing about invisible wounds, and that's really the number one common denominator, I see that everyone that I work with comes out of their service time with those. And there are invisible injuries. So, something was unfair, or, you didn't get the promotion you thought you were going to get, those kinds of things. But those are kind of like a sprained ankle of your emotions or your thoughts. They'll heal. But the invisible wounds are just like visible wounds. They don't heal on their own. They need treatment. And it's not a commercial for therapy. It's just they need treatment. And if they don't get treatment, and most of them don't, then they can fester. They can get infected. The thing is that they can scab over. You can push them down. You can get really, really busy and do something else. But people will often self-medicate, and they'll drink at them, or they'll anger at them, or they'll double shift at them, or whatever that is. But there is a way to heal those things, and it involves your family, and it involves talking about them. And unfortunately, the community, I have to assume that it's the same with first responders, but I know that it's true of the military. There's this belief that if you seek help for invisible wounds, it's a sign of weakness, and it's a sign of strength. If you think of it as a wound, if you had a sucking chest wound, you would go to the hospital, or you'd go to a medic. They'd fly you out. If you have an invisible wound to your soul, to your thought process, to your emotions, why wouldn't we heal that so that you can get right back in there and do your job? And so that's kind of what I work on.
It is an interesting question. We talk about it a lot, and an injury is an injury, whether you see it or you don't see it, and it's completely the way that you come at it and what your mindset is around that. So yeah, thank you for saying that. Hey, we got to take a last quick break to recognize OBBM and how you can get involved and maybe be on a Badge of Honor TV. We'll be right back.
Interested in starting a podcast or TV show? Worried about what you'll say and how to keep it engaging? Think you'd like to be a guest on podcast, radio, or TV shows? Hi, I'm Susan Hamilton, owner and founder of OBBM Network, and I would like to invite you to an OBBM Media training to get the tools you need for a relaxed and polished performance we'll be proud to share. Our specialized training techniques include role play, voice training, and everything you need to deliver a confident, clear, and engaging interaction. Go to offbeatbusiness.com. Go to the calendar and register for a training that's convenient for you. Dates available now, 214-714-0495.
Hey, welcome back to A Badge of Honor TV with John and Sam, with our special guest, David Preston with Warrior to Veteran. You know, we have had an amazing conversation so far. And, you know, Sam brings this up all the time. And when you brought up moral injury, you know, where officers or our veterans are doing things that are just not what they don't feel right about doing. And in this, you know, not getting political or anything, but in this culture itself, you know, our officers, our law enforcement are being asked to do things that may be beyond their moral fiber. Same with our veterans. You know, with the short time we have, how could they navigate through that without losing their job, without losing the discredit within their veteran community or the military service? How could they navigate around that?
It's an incredibly difficult question to answer, and more importantly, to decide what to do, because it's almost always in the heat of the moment. You know, you have to decide right now. And a lot of times the people that have to make these decisions are young. You know, it's like, go do this. Well, you know, Sarge or Lieutenant or, you know, whatever it is. No, I said, go do it. It's very difficult for people who don't have maybe that much real world experience to determine the difference between a lawful and an unlawful order. The best advice I know of is to seek the advice of a seasoned, more mature, not only mature in military experience, but in, you know, the way things are done, the back office or the political end of things. You know, hey, what should I do? You talked about today's political environment, and that is, you know, on the street and in the military too. A lot of times there is no way to win that situation. And so it can be a decision where you have to say, you know, what am I going to be able to sleep at night with? And what I do is I have kind of a process for that. I say there are only two times when I ask for advice or coaching on things. One is when I have no idea what to do, and the other is when I'm absolutely sure I know what to do. So I seek some input and some advice quite a bit. You know,
it is such a tough call, and I don't, you know, I feel my heart goes out to our veterans and our first responders that have to be put in those situations. And it's a very hard road to navigate on top of everything else that they're going through. And that's why it's so important for them to reach out to you and be able to get that guidance, be able to make them feel that they did not make that wrong decision, or if they did make that wrong decision, how they can overcome those feelings, because it was the job that made them do that. It's not something that, you know, there's a lot that goes into it, and that's why I'm glad you're here explaining it to everybody.
Yeah, David, what's the best way for folks to reach you?
They can. I do have a website, warriorveteran.com, but it's going through some refurb right now. It'll be back up on Monday, but you can reach me at david@warriorveteran.com. It's my email address. Feel free to contact me at that anytime. Also, the way therapy works is that it's state by state. So I'm in the state of Montana, but I do write and do some consulting. So I'm more than willing to talk to anybody at any time. And if it's someone I can't personally help, I guarantee that I'll help you find the right person for you to work with.
Well, thank you for that. For those of you listening on your favorite podcast app, that's David at warrior2veteran.com. So just wanted to make sure that they have that number 2 in there.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. This has been just eye-opening. It really some very, I'll call them tactical tools that put it in your pocket. Reach out to David, get some clarity on it. Because that whole mission to mission and not leaving a big gap is so important. Take advantage of finding out more about his 2A way. And you're healing a lot of folks. And David, we very much appreciate all of your hard work, because you started in uniform. You said there's a need. I got to go fill it. And you're doing fantastic things. So thank you for being part of our show tonight.
Appreciate that.
Thank you so much, and thank you to all your subscribers and your members, because the rest of us couldn't make it without your sacrifice.
No, thank you for that.
Thank you so much.
We will definitely be in touch. All right, have a good night. Thank you.
Care.
Too.
The great state of Montana.
I know, and such just wisdom, pearls, everything. So, folks, the replay will go up tomorrow. So you should be on watching us, hitting that like and subscribe button, of course, and copy down David's email to reach out to him. But the keys were crucial. You'll be able to gather them tomorrow when the replay goes up. But can't thank him enough for coming on. And I know he is super busy. This is the time of year where we are now, believe it or not, like summer is over. Today's the 3rd. School, at least here in the Dallas area, they go back the 10th, at least where I am. So it is high-paced time, lots of things going on, and just want to let you all know about some key things. August 8th, our friends at Operation Angel Wing and our friends at Carry the Load, they are getting together to do a prayer walk and community fundraising event. And that is going to be August 8th in Norris, Tennessee. The exact address is 5 North Square, Norris, Tennessee. You can show up day of and register from 7 to 9, and then the event kicks off shortly after. Or you can pre-register at operationangelwing@gmail.com. Again, that's August 8th. Operation Angel Wing Carry the Load prayer walk and community fundraising event. September 5th, we will be down. That's the right behind you in John's screen, the Dallas 9/11 Memorial Stair Climb. We will be at the Brotherhood Bash right after 11. Starts at 11 a.m. At what's a brewery called?
Not Three Wide.
It's the brewery
yeah.
right after the stair climb. So we'll be down in Dallas for that. Sorry, I should have it written down. But so check that out as well. Then we have got the celebrity softball game Saturday, September 12th at it's
Ryder Stadium. Rough Rider Stadium in Frisco.
In Frisco. And what's the time on that?
That's going to be a 3:00 game. You can get your tickets now at celebritysoftballclassic.com. This is all about the families coming out, meeting their athletes, their veterans, their first responders, their actors, all their superstar celebrities. This is an upfront meet and greet for the kids. It's a great softball tournament that all the money goes to charity. Last year they raised over $1 million in one day. We're going for 1.5 this year. So get your tickets. If you cannot afford a ticket, if you cannot afford the tickets, they're only $10 or $20. But say you have a family of 6 and you want to go, you can go to CSCTX and use that promo code CSCTX and use that. You'll get 6 free tickets. But don't use them. Don't do that if you're not going to use the tickets. We want to fill that stadium this year.
Absolutely. So you'll John and I will be there, and I think our other partners from A Badge of Honor will be there. All right. Then the following September 21st In Ridgefield, Connecticut, our friends at Sierra Delta Service Dogs, they are having a golf tournament and fundraiser. That starts at 10 a.m. Then the following Saturday, Friday and Saturday, the 25th and the 26th, we are taking over Texas with the folks from the 100 Club in Allen, Texas. You can, there's still tickets left. You want to pre-register because this will go to everything. Mikhail, he goes by Dookie on X. He's getting a lot of cool things from a lot of cool companies. So TexasTakeover100.com. Want to live at 100%. Want our brains to function at 100%. Whether you're there, whether you want to learn how your butts need to be in those seats. TexasTakeover100.com. 7 to 9 meet and greet on the 25th, and then 8 to 5 full day program on the 26th. Then following that, starting the 28th of September and going through the 2nd of October, our friends Joe and Liz Bartholomew are putting on again a first responder retreat. There are still spaces remaining, but they are very few left. FirstRespondersRetreat.org. This is the ultimate in peer support. In Three Lakes, Wisconsin, it is beautiful at a campsite. You're not staying in tents, you're staying in actual cabins, so don't be concerned about that. But get there. There's so much. Just stay connected to us. How do you do that? Just go to abadgeofhonor.org. The calendar's right there, and I'm putting stuff up every single day. So with that, thank you so much. Keep hitting that like, keep hitting that subscribe button from wherever you are watching. We appreciate you tuning in each week. To all of our first responders out there, we are praying for your safe return home every single night. To our veterans, thank you for fighting the good fight that allows John and I to do a show like this every single week. And to our active duty personnel spread out across the globe, you are not forgotten. We are saying prayers for your safe return as well. John, take us home.
To all our warriors, our first responders, our firefighters, our paramedics, everybody out there, you fought the good fight. You're doing a great job. It's up to you to stay mentally well and healthy. And we are here for you each and every day. You deserve it. You deserve it. Everybody deserves it in your family. And Badge of Honor and all our resources are here. So
absolutely.
Peace.
See you next week, everybody.
A Badge of Honor podcast is produced for the OBBM Network podcast and protected under copyright law. For content permissions, please submit your request to abadgeofhonor.com on the content page. For OBBM Network programming information, please call 214-714-0495 today.